So we're living in this hybrid world now, right? And it's raised a huge new question. How do you actually build trust when you can't even see your team half the time? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. The invisible forces that can pull a remote team apart, and more importantly, a practical playbook to put it all back together.
You know the feeling, right? You're putting in the hours, you're hitting your deadlines, but there's just this nagging sense that maybe your boss has forgotten you exist. If that hits home, you are definitely not alone. It's a major symptom of a much bigger problem in the way we work now. Well, that feeling, it points to something huge, a concept we call hybrid psychological safety. It's really just the core belief that you won't be penalized or just plain ignored because you're not physically in the office. It's making sure that out of sight doesn't turn into out of mind. Look, it's the absolute bedrock of any successful hybrid team. Without it, the whole thing just starts to fall apart. All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we'll get a handle on what hybrid safety even is. Then we'll expose the hidden threats, the silent killers of trust. After that, we'll walk through a 4-stage framework for building it all back up. And we'll wrap up with a solid action plan you can literally start using tomorrow. Okay, let's dive right in. First up, understanding the fundamental tension that's sitting right at the heart of the modern workplace. This right here is what we call the hybrid paradox. On one hand, we were all craving that flexibility, right? The freedom, the autonomy. But the flip side, the reality for so many people, it's been loneliness, a real sense of disconnection, and a ton of anxiety. You know, when you can't just grab a quick coffee with a coworker, those small misunderstandings on Slack can blow up in your head, and you start spinning out, wondering, wait, did they totally misread my tone in that message?
And look, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good thing. This has a massive impact on the bottom line. Get this, the data is crystal clear. Teams with high psychological safety see turnover drop by 27%, and engagement skyrockets by a whopping 76%. So yeah, safety isn't just nice to have, it's an absolute must-have business strategy.
Okay, so if safety is that critical, what's actually breaking it down? Let's pull back the curtain on the invisible threads that are actively eating away at your team's trust.
All right, killer number one, and this one is huge, proximity bias. It's this sneaky little shortcut our brains take. See, we're hardwired to trust what's familiar, what's physically present. So managers and leaders, totally unintentionally, start to favor the people they see in the office every day. They assume they're the ones working harder. And the result? Remote employees feel like they're on a treadmill, constantly having to prove they're working and adding value. Now, let's talk about a super modern threat, something that's becoming more and more real, the AI factor. This is what's being called algorithmic anxiety. It's that creeping fear, that some AI is watching your every mouse click, maybe even judging your tone in your messages. And think about it. When you feel like you're being watched, do you take big creative swings? No way. You just focus on looking busy instead of doing your best work. And then you have what I call death by 1,000 cuts, these digital microaggressions. You've probably seen it. The 2-tier meeting, right? Where there are little side chats happening in the physical conference room and you're just a face on a screen, totally left out. Or the camera crusade, forcing everyone to have their camera on no matter what's going on in their life. And oh man, the time zone tax, scheduling meetings that force someone to be online at 6 a.m. or 9 p.m. Each one might seem small, but together, they just chip away at that foundation of trust.
Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I know. We've laid out the problem, so what's the fix? Well, it's not like flipping a light switch. It's more like climbing a ladder, step by step. And here's the blueprint for that climb. So this framework has 4 stages, and you build on each one. It all starts with stage 1, inclusion safety. This is just that basic human need to feel like you belong. And the risk here in a hybrid world? Digital exile, feeling like you're on the outside looking in. Once you have that, you move to learner safety, feeling safe to ask questions and learn openly. Then comes contributor safety, where you feel empowered to actually share your work. And the final level, the pinnacle, is challenger safety. That's when you feel safe enough to question the way things are and suggest a better way forward. And this right here, this is the internal monologue of someone stuck in what we call competence theater. It's that performance you put on when you're terrified of looking dumb on a Slack channel, so you just nod along and pretend you get it. And you can guess what happens next, right? Real learning, real innovation, it just grinds to a complete halt. So, how do we dismantle that theater of competence and build something real? Let's get super practical. Here are some tools you can start using, like today.
First up, something I love called the Manual of Me. It's so simple, everyone just jots down answers to a few key questions about how they work best. This is an incredible way to build that foundational inclusion safety because it replaces all our wrong assumptions with actual useful information, and it's all done asynchronously. Okay, this next tool sounds a little crazy, but trust me, it is ridiculously effective. It's called an anxiety party. Here's how it works. Everyone writes down a work-related worry, totally anonymously. Then you read them out loud. And what happens is amazing. People are usually shocked to find out that the thing they're stressing about, like talking too much in meetings, is something their teammates don't even see as a problem. It's vulnerability in action, and it builds trust like you wouldn't believe. Okay, let's talk boundaries. Because if you don't protect them, burnout is inevitable. That's why the right to disconnect is so crucial. It's about setting a clear team-wide rule that says, hey, you are not expected to answer that email at 8 p.m. It's a formal way to say your personal time is respected here, and it's the perfect antidote to that awful time zone tax. But at the end of the day, all of this starts at the top. Leaders set the tone. So if you're a leader listening to this, you have to be the one to go first. Admit when you mess up. It shows everyone else it's okay to be human. Don't be a ghost. Be consistent with your communication so people aren't constantly trying to read the tea leaves. And for goodness sake, don't be a micromanager. Focus on the results, not on tracking their every move. All right, so let's boil this all down. What are the big things to remember? 1. How you feel matters way more than where you sit. Safety trumps location every time. 2. Be on the lookout for proximity bias. You have to actively fight it. 3. Leaders, you gotta go first. Vulnerability is your key to unlocking trust. And finally, number 4. Respect boundaries. That right to disconnect is your best defense against burnout. You know, all the tech in the world can connect us, but only we as people can actually build trust. So I'll leave you with this final thought to take with you. What is the one thing, just one small, concrete action that you're going to do this week to build a little more safety on your team, no matter where everyone is logging in from?